I want to turn attention now back to the government funding battle and I get an assessment from a member of the House. Joining me now to discuss this and more is Congressman Pete Sessions. He's a member of the House Financial Services Committee as well as the Oversight and Reform Committee. He represents the 17th Congressional District of the great state of Texas. Congressman Sessions, welcome back to Washington Watch. Always great to see you, my friend.
Congressman, thank you very much. We're freezing cold in Texas, but you know, the rest of the country is not enjoying much better. So my best to you, and I hope you're good today.
Yeah, we are doing great. All right, let's start with this whole funding battle. Sheriff, what's the latest? What have you been hearing?
Well, the latest is to go back a full week, Jody. The House passed on a bipartisan basis 6 funding bills, DHS, DOD, all of these bills. And then we went on, in essence, back home work. And the Senate that had been on break now goes in this week. Of course, we know then what happened is we had the shootings that occurred in Minnesota, which changed the calculus for Democrats' agreement to vote on a bipartisan basis. What is happening as of today is the president has, I think, thoughtfully agreed that he needs to relook at the process. You heard, which was just discussed, the parameters under which Democrats would ask that the president change the operations of ICE. I would also equally ask, if I were the president, and we need to get an understanding that we know that these protesters want to come and obstruct and get in the way of what ICE is doing. They want our ICE officers to take masks off and to be able to do a whole lot of things. But I didn't hear any responsible content about them changing their behavior. I think both sides would have to acknowledge we should not move forward with what has been happening, but it will require a good bit, I think, of comfort on both sides to restrain what they are doing as well if they expect us to do this. So the House is going to have to relook at this, and the president has his views about trying to avoid much of a shutdown to make this as short of a shutdown as possible. Members of Congress were advised this afternoon, please get in town. Please get in town in time for a vote on Monday afternoon. I intend, as I always do, to travel. It takes me all day to get there. So I will get in tomorrow and be ready to vote. But the belief is they're trying to get it expedited through some process, but that would require a vote by every member that I'm sure, as you remember this, Jody, well, the majority has to pass it first before it becomes bipartisan.
Absolutely. Well, if I can, while I still have you, Congressman Sessions, some other news, I wanted to get your take on the president's nomination today of former Federal Reserve Governor Kevin Warsh to replace Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell. What's your thoughts on that?
Jody, this is an important part of the president's economic package. As we all remember and recall, the chairman of the Fed, Jerome Powell, openly supported President Biden's what turned out to be $3 trillion worth of extension of money to pay down the loan to the government to pay for during the government the shutdown during COVID. And they extended $3 trillion. We're still paying the interest on that. We're figuring out where the money went now. And of course, we're finding out some of the holes in that. But the Fed would not give in to President Trump now to say that the risk is not as high as they say it is, and that we need to bring down cost of people getting housing, cost of small business, and we need to lower these interest rates. So it has been a simmering battle between the president and Chairman Powell we know Chairman Powell, and it's the way House Republicans on financial services looked at it, that he would be leaving by May of this year, 26. So it's now time to nominate a person. I'm delighted that he has nominated Kevin. I think he will do a good job, but will he be completely independent? Well, that's the request, but he's got to be able to pass in the Senate. And I think he will bring realistic viewpoints about not only the balance of the risk out in the economy, but also the advantages of making sure we reduce the interest rates.
Yeah, I'm sure that's going to be quite a battle in the Senate. I can only imagine what that hearing is going to be like. And of course, today the inflation is up higher than anticipated, household goods and so forth. So we need the Federal Reserve that's going to work to better the lives of the American people. While I have you, before I let you go, there's another item that I wanted to hit on with you. The word is trickling around that the House may, in spite of having your hands full, that you may be working on the framework of yet a second budget reconciliation measure. Is there anything you can tell us about that? Kind of what are the thoughts on what that would look like?
Well, in fact, I can. Reconciliation, which might be called Reconciliation Part 2, is a process that would allow, when the House and the Senate and the President are of the same party, it allows them to pass a piece of legislation that would not require 60 votes in the Senate. It is revenue oriented. It is intended to help a party and their political views about the economy, about the size of government. And the committees have been hard at work on this. But essentially, a lot of work that is done, an organization you and I belong to called the RSC. The RSC is putting together their plan and package that would deal specifically with encouraging the free enterprise system and to make sure that we are fully utilizing them before we turn to government resources. And that would save, obviously, that not just the government money, but it would immediately make the government more effective and efficient. And when we say that what we want to do is move away from government programs, we're meaning that we would like the private sector to pick up much of this slack. And this is part of why we're involved in healthcare. I believe, Jody, that we need to move a healthcare model. We talk a lot about the Affordable Care Act, but what we need to move to is getting the 170 million Americans to have same or similar health care that I do and that you had when you were in the House of employer-provided.
We're going to have to leave it right there.
Good. Well,
yes,
get
totally
ready.
agree.
I hope I did well enough to get invited back, Jody.
You'll be back. Texas Congressman Pete Sessions, always great to have you on Washington Watch. Thank you for joining us.
Bet.